Okay, so now we're getting ready to put the hatch in. I got one hatch in the stern, I got another hatch way up in the bow, and just these are the same type of hatches I show in the other pictures. I'm reinstalling them in Sawfish. I've been using it for a couple weeks now without them, and it bugs me because I like to have the dry space to store stuff. Usually I use the bow for like my car keys, my wallet, anything I probably won't have to get to while I'm on the water. And the stern one is really out of my reach, but think like your lunch, maybe you can pull up on a shore somewhere and grab it or whatever. But this nice foam wall all the way around it turns this whole area into a cooler. You put a cold pack in there with your food and whatever you want to drink, and it'll keep it just like a cooler. It works pretty well. So these are the hatches, the way I make them. Start with the original Gama seal hatch, just like this. I get them at Lowe's in white. Home Depot has them in black. I prefer white for visibility when I'm out on the water. Any brighter colors you have helps you show up better with motorboats. They come with this outer lip right here, and it's got a rubber gasket down inside of there, and they're designed just like it shows. You snap it onto the top of a 5-gallon bucket, and it's waterproof, watertight, airtight. Food, people use them for ammunition, they use them for water storage, survival type stuff. I use them with my camping gear. The neat thing is, you unscrew the lid off this hatch, you have a 5-gallon bucket with one of these lids on it, plug the bucket into that lid, it's not going anywhere. It's actually kind of solid in there, and it gives you another way to store stuff that's secure. You have to turn the boat upside down and shake it to make them fall out, and it makes a nice handy socket to hold it in place. So what I do is I trim the outer edge off, I pull that gasket out, and I take my razor knife and I cut these cross hatches just like that, and that's what allows the glue to get a hold into that plastic. You're not cutting all the way through, you're just scoring the surface. You can see it makes these divots when I cut around with the knife, cutting the edge off. I'll show that in another video. And those divots actually give the glue something to grab into too. So here we have, I've wrapped it, but the hole is already underneath. So all I gotta do is just go along, and I can feel when I run into the foam, and I try not to. And just go around and trim away fabric, trying not to go overboard, because you want to have a fit that is not too loose, not too tight, just right, for the ring to be held securely in place, but not so tight that it didn't get enough glue in between the edge and it wants to fall out. As you can see, there's my stern compartment. It's got some room in it for a good bit of cargo, lunch, whatever I'm going to put in there. So get rid of this. We got our hatch, do a test fit. And that's pretty much perfect. It's not too much force, I didn't have to hammer it, but it's not really loose. And usually what I'll do is I'll even cut a groove around in here on some of them. I've tried that. Sometimes it seems to work, sometimes not so much. But just cutting out a little bit of foam gives the glue a little bit extra sticking to. I'm just kind of roughing up this foam here, because just like with the poor man's fiberglass, the more pockets you give the glue to engage, the better it will hold into the foam. And in this case, this is just expanding a PL Premium for this step. If you're in some other country where you can't get it, look for some sort of construction adhesive that's polyurethane. It's the best advice I can give you. I try and share when people from other countries tell me how they built their boat. I know I had a guy in Australia that actually found, instead of these 5-gallon bucket lids, he cut the tops off of these jugs they use for brewing beer, like home brewing, and glued them into his deck. He actually liked them. I guess they worked pretty well from what he said. So you got your hatch with the PL Premium and a caulking gun. And this is a step where too much glue is never a problem. Not enough could be a problem. These aren't going to seal 100%, like if you're gonna stick the end of the kayak underwater and hold it there, like I've had my kids roll them over and climb on top to swim, and a little bit of water does get in that case, but nothing really noticeable. For your average type of stuff, it isn't really an issue. So you're trying to pack all that groove that I just made with glue. Usually I'll use a screwdriver for that, but the razor knife actually worked too, as long as you don't snap the blade. And you just want to make it close enough to the top that, because remember, this doesn't go all the way down 2 inches like the way the foam is thick. But so there we got this PL Premium packed around here in a ring. And we just want to make sure that it's going to be tight. Remember, this stuff swells as it cures, and that's really where all of the strength in this installation like this, where it's gluing the plastic that it really can't grab onto, comes from. Just like when we did the handles, just like when we do the skegs, it's that swelling effect that gives it its strength. All right, so now we're going to lay a bead right here around this. And those cross hatches, once again, that's where your strength comes from. And we just go right around. And make sure there's a good bead there that's going to get in. Sometimes I'll even lay another one here, right around the very top edge. It's kind of your waterproofing seal. I've tried other things. I tried RTV at one point. What I discovered is the solvent in RTV, the thing that comes out as it cures, eats the foam. Bad idea. You end up with a bigger hole because it ate the foam away. So that will not work. This, however, has worked pretty much every time I've tried it. And then it's just, you know, once again, we want to press fit. We could have gone even a little bit looser so it doesn't scrape the glue off. But there you go. We know it's down tight. Take your finger and just scrape that away. So I have another hatch that I'm getting ready to do on the bow here, so I've got a perfect place to put that excess. And if you read the package, you can find out what kind of solvent you would use to wipe away all of the residue here. I forget right now at the moment, and my hands are busy. But you wipe that away. And then you get yourself a couple bricks or rocks, something heavy but not crazy heavy. Give it a good press overnight, and that will be solid by the next morning. And usually, of course, I'm one of these people, I try and get it so that when it's most of the way tight, it will more or less, yeah, that's about right. That will more or less line up, or sometimes I like to put them in an X, depending. Either way. And some people get really compulsive about the way their screws are lined up on the pluses or slots in the heads. And the nice thing with these is even a kid can actually actuate these, because they can get both hands in and turn them. Some of those little marine hatches, you get two little thumb things, and yeah, good luck. So there you go, there's your deck hatches. And like I said, these make the boat even more useful. And they're about $8 a piece, which a marine hatch in the same size would be 80, 60, 80, maybe 100, over $100 for this size. And for $8, I've never had one of these fail from the sun. They don't claim to be UV stable plastic, but like I said, I've never had any problems. So there you go. It's been about 4 years now.